Hi, good afternoon. I'm here to tackle about the schools of management thought. So, what are the schools of management thought? So we've got management process, empirical school, human behaviors or human relations, social decisions theory, quantitative management, systems management, and contingency school. First, let me discuss to you the management process. So, this regards management as a way of getting things done with people operating in organized groups. Henry Fayol is known as the father of this school. So, according to this school management be can best be studied in terms of the process that it involves. Those under this school view that management principles are of universal application. This approach is also designated as the traditional approach, the universal approach, or the classical approach. Next, empirical school. This school is taken by scholars who identify management as the study of experience, followed by efforts to learn from the experience and then transfer the knowledge to practitioners and students. Typically, this is done through a case study approach or through the study of decision making. The school of thought believes that by analyzing the experience of successful managers or the mistakes of poor managers, we can somehow learn about applying the most effective management techniques. Main features of empirical school. So, management is study of managerial experiences. Managerial experiences can be passed over to the practitioners and students. The techniques used in successful cases can be used for further references, and the theoretical research can be combined with practical experiences for better management. Human relations or human behavior. This school takes note of the psychological factors causing a change in the human behavior in organized groups under a given situation. It is based upon the fact that management involves getting things done through people, and therefore management must be centered on interpersonal relations. This approach has been called the human relations, leadership, or behavioral science approach. Exponents of this school of thought seek to apply existing and newly developed theories, methods, and techniques of the relevant social science to the study of intra and interpersonal relations, which varies from personality dynamics to relations of culture. This school stresses on the people part of management and the understanding aspect. The motivation of the individual and adherent of this school is heavily oriented towards psychology and sociology. The range of thought in this school consists of study of human relations, how managers can understand and use these relations when dealing with their staff or workers, the role of manager as a leader and how he or she should lead, the study of group dynamics and interpersonal relationship. So next, social system. This school of thought is closely related to the human behavior or human relations school of thought. It looks upon management as a social system, which refers to a system of cultural interrelationship. This can be formal organizational relationship or any kind of human relationships. This approach to management, being heavily sociological in nature, that's what the study of sociology does. So it identifies the nature of cultural relationship of various social groups and attempts to show them as an integrated system. The spiritual father of this school was the late Chester Barnard, who developed the theory of cooperation. So it focused on the study of organization as a cooperative or collaborative system. A social system is a unit or entity consisting of various social subsystems called groups. Next is the decision theory. In decision theory, the approach concentrates on the rational decision theory, which refers to the selection of a suitable course of action from various possible alternatives. So this approach deals with the decision itself, with the person or organizational group who makes the decision, or with an analysis of the decision process. The scientific approach to decision making involves some of the following factors. 1. You define the problem. You collect all the relevant informations, and from there you develop alternatives. You examine the alternatives and the solution. Then you test it if it can be possible. And then you select a course of action. Then implement the action. Evaluate the results of the action. Mathematical school. So in this group, we have theorists who see management as a system of mathematical models and processes. So here comes yung which wherein they use statistics. So yan. According to the approach of the mathematical school, decision making is a logical process that can be expressed in terms of mathematical symbols and relationships. So this approach forces the analyst to define problems and allow for the insertion of symbol through logical methodology, which provides a powerful tool for solving complex phenomena. The modern managers may normally face some of the following problems. Of course, increase in the size and complexity of organizational structure, increase in paperwork, which stifles the ability to produce, communication problems as well, kasi they use symbols nga. The need for instantaneous management response in the decision-making areas, which requires up-to-date, accurate, and comprehensive information. Increase in demand on management with fewer budgets, and increase in the number of people to be dealt with by government and business structures. So, next is the systems approach. System approach is an integrative approach which considers management in its totality based on empirical data. According to this approach, attention must be paid to the overall effectiveness of a subsystem in isolation from the other subsystems. So the main emphasis is on the interdependence and interrelatedness of the various subsystems. Its essential features are as follows. So, a system has a number of subsystems, parts, and subparts. All the subsystem, parts, and subparts are mutually related to each other. A change in one part will affect the changes in other parts. The systems approach emphasizes on the study of the various parts in their interrelationships rather than in isolation from each other. And the system approach to management brings out the complexity of a real-life management problem much more sharply than any of the other approaches. And lastly, it can be utilized by any other school of management thought. So, the boundary of a system may be classified into two parts. So, meron siyang closed system at saka open system. So, closed system, it has no environment. This part implies that no outside system are to be considered, while open system, meron siyang environment, which wherein it relates, exchanges, and communicates. So, next is contingency approach. In contingency approach, management emphasizes on the fact that management is a highly practice-oriented and action-packed discipline. So, managerial decisions and actions initiatives are known to be matters of pragmatism and not of principles. The environment of organization and manager is very complex, uncertain, ever-changing, and diverse. So, it is the basic functions of managers to analyze and understand the environments in which they function before adapting their techniques, processes, and practices. So, scientific management. So, what is scientific management? So, this management theory was being developed by Frederick W. Taylor. So, this theory focused on improving the efficiency of each individual in the organization. The major emphasis is on increasing the production through the use of intensive technology, and the human beings are just concerned as adjuncts to machine in the performance of routine tasks. So, diba, more on advancements. Yung sa mga use ng machines, yun. So, ang principle niya is to separate planning from doing. The functional foremanship of supervision. Example, a supervisor is required to give directions and instructions in their respective fields. So, yun siya. And then, time, motion, and fatigue studies shall be used to determine the fair amount of work done by each individual worker. And improving the working conditions and standardizing the tools, period of work, and cost of production. Proper scientific selection and training of workmen should be done. So, financial incentives should also be given to the workers para ma-boost yung morale nila in order for them to be productive and be motivated as well. So, functional approach. What is functional approach? The essence of a functional approach to management of an organization is that activities of an organization are viewed as a set of functions that must be performed to achieve its goals. So, therefore, the organization is managed mainly through the impact on the functional units. Example, structural divisions formed according to principle of performing the corresponding functions. So, most organizations are built around the functions and levels of the hierarchy. The first scientifically sustained this approach was, of course, C.F. Taylor. Subsequently, his theory was widely disseminated in the form of constructing functionally oriented organizations. So, ang features niya ay a strict vertical hierarchy of management. Example nun, parang, diba, yung top to bottom. So, yan, according to hierarchy, kung sino yung leader up to the subordinates. And then, a clear distribution of job responsibilities systematized in accordance with the specifics of the actions performed. And control is implemented according to a functional principle. Example, while one person controls only homogeneous operations, yung parang they there's one person who's really assigned for that. So, ganun siya. Parang by specialty, ganun yung pagkakaintindi ko. So, quantitative approach. So, quantitative approach, it incorporates many analytical and numeric techniques into management method. Ang goal niya is to have specific formulas that information can be plunged into to provide the best answer to common management question. So, it involves quantitative techniques such as yun nga, statistics, information models, computer simulations, in order for us to improve the decision making. So, yun. Ang references ko po ay Approaches of Management ng Wikipedia, E-Notes, Management Thought, and Principles of Management under Cliff notes. So guys, if you have any questions, just flick me a message and I will try to answer kung ano man yung questions ninyo. Thank you!